There's the Pussycat Dolls on Magic this morning, 8:35. Mike Barrett in with good policies from Barrett Insurance Agency. What do you think of that sunshine, my friend?
Thinking I love it.
Ah, it's beautiful.
Sign of things to come, I hope.
Yeah, it looks great out there.
Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome morning.
I got to keep the blinds drawn because I can't see the computer screen.
Well, just know it's out there.
Hey, what did you think of that storm in your neck of the woods?
Wow. One of the worst driving storms we've had in a long time. I'm not going to say ever because I've been here all my life. A lot of us have.
Yep.
I'm sure we really sit down and think about it. There's probably worse circumstances or storms, but that's probably top 10. I mean, gosh, even with my truck, I was worried about getting stuck.
Well, they were shutting down Route 5. They were diverting people up through Industrial Park. That got blocked by a jackknife tractor trailer. They closed down Concord Avenue. They closed down St. J so they could move the snow. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
How much did you get in Waterford?
We think about 18 to 20.
Yeah.
We got pretty nailed at our house.
That's
We're
what
up
we
on the
did.
hill in Waterford, so the hills were getting it on Friday for sure.
All right. So obviously, folks that had good insurance policies didn't have to call you, but if they did, they knew they were covered. In talking about the snow here, there was a lot of snow. There's still a lot of snow out there on roofs and stuff. And I know it may have come and gone, but it's something to think about because somebody may have learned a hard lesson.
There actually, from what I can tell so far this season, there's been a lot of hard lessons out there. It's easy as life gets busy to not think about many things, among them being snow on a roof. Maybe you have an outbuilding or a barn or your own house on your porch or your garage, and you're just thinking, well, it's okay. It's well built. When you get this type of snow, I will tell you that some of the collapses we've had this year, we've had more collapse claims this year than we've had in many, many, many years. And what it is it's just the snow had never left. So the snow continued to pile up, and now any point of weakness is being exposed. And weakness can be one of two things. It can be, the structure itself, the integrity of the structure coming into question and now giving in and collapsing. The other one is you're getting all kinds of leaks within your roof. And both of them are pretty severe.
We were just talking about that. We have that problem here. We've got a much older building here, and sometimes it builds up on the roof right out here by the studio and drips down into our mailroom and stuff. But that is probably more common than the collapse.
It is.
It's the water damage. You mentioned it.
And water damage is evil.
Right.
Water damage is very evil because you can get damage to the structure. You can get damage to personal property. And, of course, any point that's in a well-maintained condition ripe for mold to grow, then you get into an even bigger problem. So if you have the water damage, you need to make sure you're taking care of it pretty quickly.
Well, you talk about mold being an issue, too. What about them rodents that got in the wall and have died?
Oh, yeah.
And then you get that water in there. It's a nasty thing.
It's a nasty, nasty thing. And I'll tell you, I always find, I'm like, you can almost tell the insurance agents' houses because they have their roofs kind of raked off, And it's not because we're necessarily afraid. It's just we have to practice what we preach, So I was out there and I knew the warm weather was here on Sunday and that we had this beautiful March sunshine taking care of business, which is wonderful. My thought was, I'm worried about any potential weak points where my porch connects to my house, so I'm going to give Mother Nature a jump start here. And so I took like 3 feet off from the eaves up on my entire garage and around my entire house, except for the very back because I just can't get that high. But and the pitch up there handles it. But I just don't want to be having that type of loss myself. If I'm going to preach it, I'm going to practice it.
Well, and then we have, let's use this particular morning, for example, okay? We had a lot of sunshine, helped knock down some snow. We had some more fall off our roof up in Newark.
Yep.
But then we have places like Island Pond where they were 10 below zero this morning.
Yeah.
We were 8 above, but that still freezes, and that's what you're talking about.
We're in a cyclical cycle right now where you're going to get those thaws, even just from the sunshine this time of year, and you get those overnight lows, and you're going to get that ice damming, and that's going to be where you're going to get that water penetration, which is going to become a problem, whether you think so or not. It's if there's a point of weakness, it will find it, and it will surprise you. Houses that have never had water loss before are sustaining water loss.
So we may not be talking about actual insurance policies, but we're talking about ways you can keep yourself from having to call the insurance
as a property owner.
Right.
It's really upon you to do something to try to mitigate loss. It's not expected in the contract, but it's assumed that you will do your best to try to prevent it. And let's be honest, who wants a claim? I don't think anybody wants a claim. because it's not an easy process. No matter how perfect it is, it's still a process, and life's busy enough. So an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. Is that the saying or something like that? So just a good idea to get on top of it. Now we're talking, maybe you're one of those folks that has the metal roof. Mm-hmm. Good for you. You lucky one. That snow's been sliding off all season. How awesome is that? Now you've got a basement and you've got 18 feet of snow that has slid off your roof. Now we're getting into mud and flood season. See, nobody calls it that. They should. I think we should coin that phrase, mud and flood season. And what I mean by that is, of course, the mud season on the roads, which self-explanatory.
Right.
But flood season can be in any number of ways. You're going to have ice jams on the
Right.
rivers, which can cause flooding in areas that are prone to flooding. But you're also going to get, most likely, again, any point of weakness, you're going to get water in your basement. Especially if you have snow falling off your metal roof all winter long, so much so that you have a window that you haven't used as a window because it's a wall now,
right?
Because a wall of snow is in front of it. What's going to happen when that snow melts? It's going to go down, and if there is weakness, you're going to potentially have a problem. So
flooding in the basement.
Yeah,
Yuck.
Yeah, it's never fun.
Well, too, a lot of folks like personally, we have a culvert across our driveway because in the springtime. Predominantly in the springtime, the melt and the runoff crosses two places on 114 within about 100 yards of each other.
Sure.
But that one there is a seasonal one. It comes down, runs across this little marshy spot through it's one of those plastic, help me out here. Why am I having a hard time? Culvert. There we go. And, once all of this whole bunch of snow melts off, some people may experience a flood or a washout in their driveway.
Right. And so it's important to remember that flooding of property is never covered unless you have flood insurance. Flooding of land is just never covered, unfortunately. And we can go back to the year of Irene, where people had many driveways washed out, either in Irene or in the May storm of that year, where they were all shocked to find out that their insurance was not going to cover it because insurance covers property and your driveway is not property, it's land. So it's an unfortunate thing. But again, if you can take some steps to prevent problems from occurring, and let's go to the water in the basement, that's going to be groundwater seepage excluded on all homeowner policies. Now, some people may be fortunate enough to have what we call endorsement of backup of sewers and drains. What that endorsement is if you have a system that drains and keeps your basement from flooding that fails, or if you have a sump pump in a basement that's well known to get water in it that fails, then you could have some kind of coverage up to $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, depending on what you've chosen. So there is some coverage there, but if there's any chance that you're going to get that water, it's a good idea to take that step so you don't have to make that call to your company or your agent and find out that, sorry, it's not covered. And that's a very uncomfortable conversation.
Well, we've had the conversation here before during our good policy sessions about, because we know somebody who has experienced and learned the difference between flooding and groundwater runoff.
Yeah.
So you want to have your policy checked.
Right. I mean, I was at a place once where I was almost close to calling Fish and Game and just having them stock the basement because it was that much easier. It was easier to do that than it was to try to get the water out. So that's how that place worked. But
you and the boy down there catching
that was many years ago. So the boy hadn't come yet. But yeah. So 'tis the season. Just be prepared. And who knows? We could get more snow. And spring snow is heavy, wet, and problematic on roofs. So.
Comes and goes fast.
Yeah.
All right. So good policies is good communication and frequently looking at your policy and updating it if need be.
Right. And taking the proper steps around your house to try to mitigate loss.
All right. Contact information for Barrett Insurance.
Sure. 748-5224. Visit our website, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, and YouTube, all Barrett Insurance Agency, and we're located on Portland Street in St. Jay.
Hey, I've been saying this to all of my interviewees this week.
What's that?
I'll see you next month.
You never did that last year. You missed it last year.
I did. All right. So Barrett Insurance, good policies with the Magic Morning Crew. Coming up, music for Martin Garrix and Dua Lipa. But first, One Republic.